There's a light in the sky, rising in the air. There's a feeling so strong. It's time to light the fire, like a bright shining light. Learn, getting more out of life. Love, sharing time with friends, feeling so strong.
Hello and welcome to the New Look House of Wellness, a show that is aiming to bring you the latest in everything to do with health of body, mind and spirit. My name is Luke Darcy and I'm generally excited to be spending a lot of time with the three people on the couch with me. I'm going to start with Hines. Luke Hines, last time I saw you were dominating on My Kitchen Rules. What are you up to, mate?
Mate, I've been very busy since. I'm now a functional nutritionist and I'm sharing my recipes with Australia through my series of cookbooks. But more so than that, I was actually an overweight and bullied kid. So my passion is trying to get people encouraged about living their best life with the meals, mindset and moves.
Up to cookbook number 10, Joe, if you don't mind.
Amazing. Hard to believe, isn't it, Joe?
Is.
Overweight and...
Rachael Finch, always great to hang out with you. Good to see you.
Thank you. Looking forward to some marvellous creations on my desk every morning.
I'm off to the kitchen now.
I've had an interesting ride too, Darcy. I've gone from sport into modelling, and for me, I spent a huge chunk of my life being way too strict on my diet and my exercise, to the point where I lost my menstrual cycle for over 2 years. So I've sort of spent the last decade really educating and nourishing my body. I've studied health coaching, personal training. I've got my own online health and fitness program as well. So really excited to be here and, yeah, looking forward to those treats.
And Joe Stanley, we've found our way onto your show, so thanks for inviting. I think we're invited.
That's so not true. The House of Wellness belongs to everybody, absolutely.
I love what you've done with the place.
I know, isn't it gorgeous? I never want to go home. I mean, this is my house. But I must say, I've not actually been that strict on my diet and exercise, Rach. That's not my kind of real world. But for me, health and wellness is totally supported by my meditation practice, which I came to through mindfulness because it was a way of managing anxiety, which has been a real problem for me over the years. But now my meditation practice is spiritual and I go deeper into my sense of purpose in the world and all those wonderful energies that we have inside us and, you know, joy, gratitude. That means we can be strengthened in our exercise and fitness and parenting and relationships.
Beautifully said. Great to see your beautiful daughter Willow there. Hopefully we'll see more of her as the year goes on. And I'm a bit of a meditation fan as well, Joe.
You are, Darcy.
So obscurely...
Should we pull out the mat together?
Well, let's do it. You know, I think that will happen this year. But as an 18-year-old AFL player, all I wanted to be was a simple AFL player. Learnt meditation. I've done it twice a day ever since. So looking forward to chatting to you about that as the year goes on. And this is my man Wim Hof. Rach, you ever heard of Wim Hof?
Love him. I've been a huge follower for years and I'm very jealous about this catch-up.
It was an incredible experience. Hines, I was asked to go down and meet Wim Hof, knew nothing about it. The Iceman, and he is quite an extraordinary unit. The stuff that he's doing will blow your mind. Later in the show, I'm going to tell you a bit more about him, Joe.
That's you in a tub of ice?
Yes.
Was it a dare or...
Well, it wasn't as painful as it looks, and it was one of the great experiences I've had in recent times. I'm going to tell you about Wim Hof a bit later in the show. Hey, speaking of challenges, dealing with pent-up stress is a challenge in itself, but there are some incredible ways to vent, and that's not just sitting in an ice bath. Have a look. 42-year-old Emma Constantine is a psychotherapist who's found the secret to letting off steam.
The break room gives me permission to be stressed, first of all, and it's very normal. The first time I came in, they talked about how most of their clients are women. They create a safe space for me to make havoc.
Emma has broken the back of stress in her life by breaking out and smashing anything she can get her hands on inside the break room. An idea started by a now stress-free Ed Hunter.
The idea of the break room came about because I just wanted to self-medicate my way out of my own corporate hell, right? Where you just work, sleep, work, sleep. There's no rest, there's no respite, there's no pressure release in that scenario. So I thought, well, I need something that'll help take the edge off. And I feel like breaking stuff is always something that everyone's wanted to do.
For me, stress has been a slow build-up where I haven't realised until I've noticed, that my shoulders are kind of creeping up to my ears and I don't have any mental space for anything. I didn't identify it as stress until other people started giving me feedback and saying, think that you could use some support yourself.
I feel like it definitely puts you on the path to getting rid of all of that stress that's been just sitting on your chest. This is a nice circuit breaker. So if you've got a bit of a tough time and you're just looking for that one thing that you can do to get rid of all that anger in your bones and then move on, this is perfect.
Cardiologist Dr. Emily Cotchett has seen how stress can wreak havoc on the body.
Chronic stress has that long-term input of adrenaline hormones that leads to heart disease of all varieties, so heart failure, coronary disease, progressive arrhythmias. And in my area, stress really drives a lot of the arrhythmias. So if you feel palpitations or your heart racing, it'll feel worse or be more frequent with stress. And that can be emotional or physical stress. I think some people have a need to relieve immense physical stress out of their body, and whilst exercise we all think of as running or doing a gym class, so something that gets that out of your system, that might be throwing something hard at a brick wall. It's like kids that have that pent-up energy. We can see that in children and tell them to go and run outside, but in ourselves we have to recognise that to try and relieve that stress.
There's no hard and fast rule for how to get rid of pent-up stress. Choose your own adventure, but there's no doubt it can be life-changing. Just ask Emma.
I'm feeling adrenalised, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling free.
Wow, what about that, Jo? Have you thought about throwing some plates around to relax?
Well, you notice there's no coffee cups here, just for everyone's safety. But how awesome to be given permission to use aggression in a healthy way.
Something for everyone you'll find in the House of Wellness.
There's no early detection test for ovarian cancer, which is why the sooner the diagnosis is made, the better. Helping us understand more about this silent, insidious disease is Dr. Lara. Tell us about your little friend there, Lara.
Sure. Let's take a look at this. We've got the vagina here, the cervix, and this is the womb or the uterus, and the ovaries are found on each side, and they join onto the uterus through these tubes called fallopian tubes. When you get ovarian cancer, it occurs in abnormal cells found in the ovaries or the fallopian tubes or the lining of the pelvis.
So they call it a silent disease. What are the symptoms?
Well, there are many symptoms and they can be quite vague and general. So some of the symptoms are bloating, constipation, indigestion, nausea, abdominal pain.
But they're things that can happen on any given day.
So many different... Is there one that we should focus on if we get it time and time again?
Well, actually, the key message for women is to focus on any symptom that is new or different, or a symptom that persists and doesn't go away, or perhaps goes away and comes back again. That's the time to see your GP.
See your GP, and of course don't ignore the symptoms in yourself, because that is such a common problem, as I found out.
My name is Lara Langdon. I'm 24 years old and I've had ovarian cancer.
Oh, she's tired. You're tired? Come here. Lara is living proof that ovarian cancer doesn't discriminate. Girl puppy. After suffering months of bloating and stomach pain, Lara suspected something was wrong, but her symptoms were diagnosed as stress-related.
I sat in my car after that appointment and just cried for such a long time because I was really worried and I was really scared and I didn't know what to do. And then about 3 weeks later, I woke up with this excruciating pain in my side. So I made an appointment to see a different doctor. Kind of felt like I had to back myself that time and pretty much say, I'm not asking if there's something wrong with me. I know that there is something wrong. And
her next appointment revealed the shocking truth.
I don't really remember what she said. I just remember hearing the word cancer and I just kind of went numb, and all I could think was, this can't be real, this can't be happening. I was only 21. I've always had a very health-conscious lifestyle, eating well, exercising, never smoked, didn't drink. I was studying health science at the time, so I was quite familiar with cancer and its causes, and yeah, I didn't perceive myself to be at risk at all, so it came as a big shock.
Here, join in, Mum.
Mum of 3 young kids, Julie Morgan also suffered chronic stomach pain, but like many women, ignored it.
I just kept putting it off, thinking it probably is nothing, but as it turns out, that wasn't the case.
Why did you wait so long?
I knew nothing about ovarian cancer, and I've got this strong family history of breast cancer, so I'm always vigilant about that. Never crossed my mind that, you know, I'd face ovarian cancer. And I have friends who have had cysts, so I just assumed it would be that.
Surgery to remove benign cysts from her ovaries revealed the worst.
When I came out from that, he said, I didn't take your cysts because I found tumours on and all around your ovaries and I think it's cancer. That was my first chemo. I was so worried about my kids and how they were going to cope. And my son, who was 7 at the time, he found it so hard. And it was that, out of the whole journey, that was the hardest thing, just seeing them struggle.
Julie and Lauren are the lucky ones. They're both now in remission.
So what advice would you give to women who may be experiencing pain or symptoms and their doctor is dismissing them in the way that you experienced?
I think it's so important to trust yourself, and you know your own body better than anyone else. If you're in pain, no one can tell you that you're not.
I was determined that if I came through okay, that I was going to share my story as a message of hope.
That is so important, to be aware of what's happening with our own body and being insistent when we do go and seek medical help, because we know what's going on here. Dr. Lara, a pap smear is not a test for ovarian cancer, is it?
That's correct. A pap smear, or a cervical screening test, protects women from getting cervical cancer. It does not protect women from getting ovarian cancer. So if women are concerned, they should see their GP.
So now, of course, ovarian cancer has the colour of teal for its awareness. And I've got to say, Gerald, over there, you look resplendent in your teal ribbon.
Thank you, Jo. Very proud to wear teal as an awareness advertising, really, for Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. We need to be really aware.
And being body aware, I think, has got a lot to do with feeling that inflammation inside the body. Is there anything that can assist with that?
Well, we just briefly touch on magnesium, Rachel, because magnesium is an anti-tension, anti-inflammatory mineral. 300 different physiological processes involving as well DNA synthesis and repair. So symptoms of magnesium deficiency, twitches and tensions and cramps, if it's there, consider Mighty Magnesium.
Is it for everyone?
It's a very, very safe mineral. It's a very safe mineral that has no interactions essentially. It's a balancing mineral, and once things are fixed, you can stop.
And the signs and symptoms, if I should be taking it?
Twitching, tension, cramps.
Understand. Thanks so much for the info. Teal's your colour.
Thank you, Rachel.
The A to Z of Vitamins is brought to you by Go Healthy, New Zealand's #1 premium supplement brand, now available in Australia.
Welcome back to the House of Wellness. Earlier, Jo and Finchy and Luke, I was telling you about passion for meditation. And on the back of that, I was introduced to a guy called Wim Hof. And I know, Rach, you've seen a bit of Wim Hof and experienced a bit of Wim Hof, but
wow.
I got to spend 3.5 hours one-on-one with that man on screen there. And what he's about, Rach, is the ability to regulate your autoimmune system, which sounds as out there as anything you could imagine. But he uses the ice and uses the cold water as a reminder to, if you don't focus on your breath, you're going to experience great pain. So listen to me and I'll teach you to get your immune system working in a way that hasn't before.
So, because of his breath and the power that he gets from that, do you think he's feeling the cold, or he feels it but he can do it anyway?
Well, he put me through the program, and he's got this great Austrian accent. I don't feel the cold, I just feel the power, is how he talks. But literally, I had an ice bath stacked up full of ice, like a soup, and I'm thinking, this is going to hurt. But I got in a state where I could have sat in that ice for an hour and a half, just through the breath and just through listening to Wim Hof and the method that he's able to teach other people. Amazing experience.
Being completely unaware, and maybe it's worth mentioning how he actually got into the cold therapy. Yeah,
it's a tragic story. His wife committed suicide. He only way he worked out he stopped feeling sad about his wife, Jo, was he used to dive into the canals of Amsterdam and he'd sit there, and then people would go, "Who's the crazy guy in there?" Then he worked out he could sit there for an hour and a half through breath. He's been up to Mount Everest in the death zone at 7,000 feet wearing board shorts, walking in that.
What? Isn't
How
that
can you
incredible?
do that? You can only do that if you've tapped into something that other people haven't been able to do before.
And is the key of this to obviously implement this extreme version into everyday life?
Well,
so we're
Hines,
sitting in traffic and we breathe.
Great question. In the shower in the morning, I've been doing the Wim Hof breathing. My kids think
Yes.
I'm insane, but you get a chance to sort of take that, another meditation, mindfulness practice. So I want to get Wim Hof on the couch. You need to experience Wim Hof.
Yes.
I would love that, but I understand that Rach took you a little further.
Well,
an
you know
ice
what?
bath.
I thought I had the ice covered
I
until
love
Rach
this,
said,
Rach.
Yeah,
you
we
know what?
took ice baths to the next level. Dar's experienced minus 100 degrees. It was incredible. You've got to check this out. So, Das, I know you like your ice baths, but we are taking cold therapy to the next level today, cryotherapy.
I get the feeling I might have talked myself up a bit too much after my meeting with Wim Hof, which I need to talk to you about, but this is making me nervous. Are we talking sort of minus 100 Celsius?
Exactly. You will need your breathing techniques today. Off you go.
After you, because I am genuinely nervous.
Hi!
Hello. How are you?
Hi, welcome to Alchemy Cryotherapy. Hope you guys are ready to get cold.
Would you stand in an icebox for your health? Well, converts to cryotherapy do. They claim that drastically dropping your body temperature has all kinds of healing properties. But right now, none of that's important to Das.
I don't want to sound soft, but is this going to hurt at all? No pain?
No.
A little bit of pain. She's telling me it's going to hurt.
It's more like standing on top of a snowy mountain.
I've done cryotherapy over the past year a handful of times. Absolutely love it. My stress is reduced, I sleep better after a session, the inflammation in my body goes down, particularly after I go for a session after I've just done a really heavy workout, and I find my muscle recovery is much quicker.
From playing footy days, the ice bath became very much in vogue at the end of my playing career, and I suppose a bit like banging your head against a brick wall. It feels good when you stop. So I've always been a bit attracted to the cold as a recovery method, so this is a more extreme version of it. Can I just say for the record, this was your idea
Your
and
idea.
not mine. I had nothing to do with it.
3 minutes, what could go wrong?
A whole heap could go wrong.
This electrically cooled chamber is chilled to minus 110 degrees and will be inside this big ice box for 3 long minutes. Question is, can Das last the distance?
Here we go. Oh my God.
It's a battle of mind over body.
Wow, that is freezing. Game on, Rach.
From first-hand experience, you have to really dig deep to overcome the wave of cold that penetrates every pore, and then fight the voice inside your head that's screaming to get out.
Well, hang in there, Rach. How you going?
Das, don't talk. The science is still out on cryo, but for those of us who can cope with a bit of cold, it's a great way to kickstart all your vital organs and get a buzz like no other.
How's that, buddy? I think we just
That's intense.
we just took our relationship
Oh, wow.
to the next level.
Tell you what, there wasn't a lot of talking in there.
No talking.
It was some serious breathing.
Some serious.
Far out.
I actually loved it.
Were your legs going or not?
My legs were going. I started to really
Yeah.
feel like I had to tune in with my internal presence. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
How incredible
I'm into
did that feel?
Yeah, it was good.
Loved it.
I'm not sure I'm coming back, but it was great.
Yeah, an incredible therapy. I think we all need to collaboratively get into a cryo.
I feel cold watching it, and I've got to say, how long does it take you to warm up? You know, you've been out in the cold; it takes a fair bit to warm up. What was it? Well, how long did it take?
It takes a few minutes to come back to normality because it's just it's this fully immersive freezing. It's like stepping into a Dan Murphy's freezer for a 3 minute
There's a
period.
reason you do that. That's a good time at the end of it. But you look like you're really energised by it, though. And did that stay with you for the rest of the day?
I had a good day.
How long?
I had a good day on the back of it. Felt great, but I suppose step out of minus 100, everything feels good after that. We're going to get you into there, Joe, at some point. Plenty more to come right here on the House of Wellness.
Coming up, the cup of tea tailor-made to your personality.
Today, I'm taking tea out of the teapot and using it to make a refreshing morning matcha frappe that's packed with protein and antioxidants. We start with a cup of chopped kale leaves, half a cup of chopped cucumber, and half a cup of chopped mint. Then we add coconut water, brew up some matcha tea, and add it to the mix. We're using matcha because it's high in antioxidants and may help prevent cell damage and chronic disease. Next is the spirulina, a power-packed ingredient that may be the single most nutrient-dense food on the planet. It's a great source of protein, vitamins and minerals, and it's alkalizing. Blend it all up, add a squeeze of lime, and enjoy a nutritious and delicious drink that's guaranteed to get your day off to a good start.
Now, that is a drink I would love to whip up at home. Maybe some cacao nibs on the top. Just head to our website for that recipe. And while Zoe has her fingers in loads of pies, healthy ones, of course, at the moment, she is on the hunt for the most flavoursome cup of tea.
Teas today have come such a long way in our Western culture than just the humble tea bag. There are so many different blends that not only taste amazing, but have amazing nutritional properties to them. How does a sip of silver rose, coconut or cinnamon perur or a delicious green sound? Move over coffee, tea is elbowing its way in as the beverage that can suit any palate and personality. So Ruan, tell me about tea blending because it seems quite magical to me.
Absolutely. So when we talk about combining flavours for a tea, we often talk about creating a pyramid very similar to the perfume world.
Okay. Ruan De Witt is a custom blender, a master in the nuances of creating the perfect cup of tea.
We have a base note at the very bottom.
Yeah.
That's often the bulk of the blend.
Yeah.
And then we have heart and top notes that fill out the rest of the blend.
This is quite romantic in a
It is,
way,
yeah.
and it sort of has a lovely sort of love-felt process to it as well. So tell me a bit more about sort of the bases. I mean, what kind of tea would I use as a base?
So the sorts of things that bind together the blend, things like black tea, green tea or rooibos are excellent choices for bases.
I love rooibos tea. Our appetite for tea, both traditional and herbal, is increasing with the demand of therapeutic remedies to improve and support well-being of body and mind, right down to a tea to suit our mood. I really would love a tea that could embody a bit of energy, but also feel quite calm.
Something grounding.
Something grounding
Calming,
would be great.
but won't send you asleep.
Yeah.
We're going to make our blend today from 10 spoons.
Okay,
so we can
cute.
start by choosing 7 spoons from your base,
Great.
and then we'll fill the heart and the top notes with your 3 remaining spoons.
All right, fantastic. Well, let's get into it.
Okay.
Because rooibos is my favourite, that's my choice of base. It's caffeine-free, high in vitamin C, antioxidants and polyphenols.
Now, you talked about something that was calming. I would recommend considering something like chamomile flowers.
Beautiful. Chamomile helps the nervous system so you sleep better. Plus, it boosts the immune system and has pain-relieving and antispasmodic properties. Then some rosebuds for colour and flavour. For the finishing touch, some star anise. I just love the flavour and it's great for digestion.
Now, what do you want for your last botanical?
Is it too much to then jump into something like cardamom? Or do you think that's going to be a little bit too overwhelming? If not, I'm very happy with maybe a little bit of something like licorice is good for the glucose metabolisation and very soothing on our tummies as well.
And licorice root is also quite sweet at the back of your mouth afterwards.
Yeah. So I would take that, and then how long would I steep something like this, a tea like this? Is there a process within that?
We have to be very mindful of how long we leave the leaf in so that it doesn't over-extract. In your case, you've made a herbal tisane. So you can leave it in as long as you want and it won't over-extract.
Oh, beautiful.
You could even make an iced tea.
That's great for my life.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
A cup of tea to suit your personality. What happens, Zoe, if you've got multiple personalities over the month?
That's a totally different story. But I found it fascinating that tea, you could represent the different nuances that we have in personality. So I thought I would make all of you your own personalised tea. So starting with Darcy, based on this love of football, but also your nourishment when it comes to meditation, I've got a tea which is a rooibos base. It's very earthy. I've got a little bit of pink peppercorn in there and some chamomiles.
Okay.
Have a little looky
All
at
right.
Nice.
Joe, because you have the most amazing, spicy voice, and I love your opinion on everything.
Okay.
So I also use rhubarb as the base, but I chose my sort of flavours, star anise, pepper in there. They are big, they're amazing for digestion as well, but they're really unique in flavour itself.
Okay, is that a
That's a good thing.
Represents my
Very nice thing.
So, is it a little bit bitter?
No.
Appropriate.
Rachel, floral, what can I say? Your love of well-being. I mean, it's a beautiful bouquet of flowers and life itself as well. So I actually chose black tea because black tea is stimulating, but it's got those beautiful rosebuds in there, a bit of lavender as well. And you will notice as you drink it, the flavour's very subtle and comes out lightly as well.
Scary how good she knows.
Second job. And for the darling Luke, well, I wanted to represent food in a cup. So I've done peppermint, cacao. This is literally something that you can eat. So taste, tell me, I don't mind criticism. I'm okay with you not liking that.
This is good,
But it's about sort of seeing if tea can be, you know, nourished. And we were so lucky because Happy Melons actually hosted us there. And Impala was a beautiful connoisseur of tea who taught us all about tea.
Delicious. So beautiful. Happy Melon is one of my favourite spaces.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Joyous. And this is very uplifting.
I wasn't a tea man until today. You've actually, Zoe, you have successfully converted me to love tea.
I'd be interested to see what my husband is.
I too. Really good.
Is there some caffeine in this, Zoe, or not?
No. You got the caffeine for it. I didn't think you needed it.
No, thank you. Very nice.
You know, I do love these teas. They're, of course, beautiful loose leaf, but I'm a bit partial to the tea bag. I have to say, because I remember my nana used to always tell me that you put tea bags under your eyes if you get a little bit puffy, you know, when you wake up in the morning.
Is that a bit of an old wives' tale, Joe? Or?
Well, you might think so, but actually, as I have learned, it is not an old wives' tale. Have a look. Don't you hate it when you wake up with those horrible bags and puffy eyes? What can you do about it? Well, there are lots of home remedies. There's tea bags, cucumber, and yogurt. I think it's time we checked in with an expert. Vanilla. Adam, not all of us are looking as fresh around the eyes as we used to a few years ago. What sorts of problems do you see in your clinic around the eye?
The usual suspects would be dermatitis of the eyes.
Yep. Tick.
Lower eyelid festooning or billowing, so
like puffiness. Tick, yes.
And then that flows through to prominent dark circles under the eyes or tear troughs.
Okay, so let's address dark circles. Is that due to lack of sleep or partying?
The short answer would be no. Lack of sleep or poor quality sleep certainly contributes. When you're sleep deprived, you tend to have paler pigment on the lower eyelid. You become dehydrated often, and therefore the eyelid skin's thin, and therefore the blood vessels or underlying muscle show. And they're pigmented, so a dark hue can manifest.
So if I drank more water, would that help?
That can help.
Is it just ageing, or is it actually caused by things that we can avoid?
Obviously, to give some thought to your lifestyle, adequate and good quality sleep, varied and healthy diet, and avoidance of toxins, alcohol.
I knew you were going to say
cigarettes,
that. Damn it.
Recreational drugs.
I knew alcohol would be mentioned at some point. What about creams and moisturisers and, you know, topical treatments?
In terms of active products, there's quite a few coming onto the market. Many of the cosmetic products work through either having a concealer, a yellow-based lightening agent to negate the pigment. They sometimes also tighten or purport to weaken the muscular movement around the eye, so things look, how should I say, cleaner or less messy. A perennial favourite would be the tea bag compresses. It's thought that the caffeine in the tea is vasoconstricting, so it will reduce the calibre of dilated vessels, which can show as dark. And if you use something like green tea, in theory there's antioxidant content which is beneficial. And then the pure action of applying a cold compress soothes the eyes and drains fluid potentially.
That's amazing. So my nana was right.
Your nana's always right, yeah.
It's true, my nana is always right. Cold tea bags do actually help with bags under your eyes. Dermatologists also mentioned, though, that there are topical treatments on the market as well. So we get some of the girls in the office to try it out.
Guys, look at these.
Thanks. Granny scar.
Protein.
Eye bag. Sagging eyelids. You got a different one from me. I haven't moisturised my face, but we'll give it a go. Ooh, it is very soft, isn't it? A little bit goes a very long way. It does make my eyelids feel a bit tighter.
Even just the feeling, it's like a... It feels so much... It feels like it's actually doing something.
I can see you've got too much in the corner, but out here it's really good. Yeah, it feels
and on
really
that side,
tight
it's really
here.
good. Do I look any different?
You look younger.
Really?
I thought this was like several weeks of progress.
Oh my God, I need some. I should give some to my mum. She'd love it.
I feel like my mum would be all about this. You know, it's a little scary how quickly it works, but then when you read the ingredients, they're mostly... Oh, really? Plant ingredients.
Welcome back to the House of Wellness. Joe, I would have to say the number one fight I have with my 4 kids, Beck, my wife and I, is around their use of technology, trying to get them off their screens. How do you go?
The amount of time and energy wasted with my daughter, negotiating, disciplining, the tantrums, I wish it was never invented.
Well, let's go back a step because you're about to find out technology has come a long way.
In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell made the first telephone call, while in 1936 the first computer was invented by Conrad Zuse in his parents' living room.
Nice one, son.
Since then, phones and computers have come a long way. Australia's first mobile was a $5,000 car phone that weighed 14 kilos and stored just 16 numbers. Today, we're using our phones to surf the web, send emails, watch videos, take photos, listen to music, monitor our health, pay for goods, and occasionally make a call. And with every child under 10 never knowing life without a mobile, these days kids are pretty much born with a device in their hand. By the time they're 5 years old, 81% of kids have used the internet. When they reach the ripe old age of 8, 67% own a mobile screen device. For teenagers, the average screen time is 46 hours per week, leaving 68% of parents worried that their kids are spending way too much time online. But here's the truth. When your computer or phone just doesn't do what you want it to do, who do you call? The IT guy or your 5-year-old?
It really is amazing how smart kids are when it comes to technology.
Oh, yeah. Without my daughter, who is 10, I would not be able to watch the TV. Like, I just have too many remote controls. She needs to do it for me.
It totally is this love-hate relationship. Finding the balance is crucial, but I got to meet up with an incredible lady who gave me some great insight into managing this world of technology. Take a look.
Like it or not, the bottom line is that technology is here to stay. So it's either suck it up and don't pay out on yourself when you do hand your phone over to your 3-year-old, or live in a constant state of guilt.
I remind parents that kids today are going to inherit a digital future, so digital amputation isn't the solution. Whether we love it or loathe it, our kids will inherit a digital future.
Dr. Kristy Goodwin has lost count of the number of times she's heard a guilt-ridden parent beg for answers about how much is too much.
Most of us grew up predominantly having analogue childhoods. We spent our holidays and our free time staring at the sky, not at a screen. But today, kids are experiencing digitalised childhoods, so as parents, we've got no frame of reference.
As the first generation of parents to navigate our way through the techno age, it's really hard to know where to draw the line and stick to it.
Technology preys on our psychological vulnerabilities. Our kids' brains are getting hits of dopamine, you know, the pleasure neurotransmitter. They're getting hits of serotonin when they're using these devices. So when we digitally disconnect them, we are literally amputating or cutting off these pleasurable feelings. So a couple of strategies that I recommend to parents is it's called cognitive priming. It means warn your child that their screen time's going to end. So rather than coming in and demand that they turn off Peppa Pig instantaneously, warning them when you get to the end of this episode, I'd like you to turn it off. Engaging in physical activity, it allows their body to get rid of all the cortisol that's built up.
While establishing boundaries so we, the parents, are the pilots of the digital plane and not just the passengers, it's scary sometimes to see just how techno-savvy our kids are.
If we completely remove technology, I call it digital abstinence, our kids are never going to develop these habits. You know, they don't learn these technological habits and skills through osmosis.
Here we go. Snappity snap.
For Lindsey Forsyth, there's no doubt in her mind that technology in the hands of babies far outweighs the negatives.
Emergency services. Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
My mum collapsed.
Your mum collapsed? Is your mum awake?
Yep.
Yep. Is she breathing?
Yep.
Yeah. Is she talking now?
No.
She's not talking?
She's shivering.
She's shivering.
Lindsey owes her life to her 6-year-old daughter, Aoife.
I have high heart rates, random high heart rates, like kind of 150. And then all of a sudden my blood pressure will drop because it can't cope with the high heart rate, and then I lose consciousness and collapse on the floor.
Can you see her chest go up and down?
No.
Put your ear next to your mummy's mouth. Can you feel any, like, coming out her mouth?
No.
After her mum collapsed unconscious on the kitchen floor, Aoife acted way beyond her years.
I think I should get her phone and ring the ambulance. They said check if she's breathing. And I said no. Check if her heart's beating, but it wasn't.
Aoife performed CPR on her mum until the ambulance arrived.
Yeah, it gives me like goosebumps thinking about it. She was very brave and very quick to act, and she followed the instruction. When the call taker was giving her instructions of how to do CPR, that was something we've never taught her. We've taught her our address and how to ring the ambulance, but we didn't think for a second that we'd need to teach her CPR. And she followed their instructions until the ambulance was here to take over. So, yeah, she's a superstar.
Hello. Hello, sweetheart. How are you?
Hi, Aoife.
So, as we parents grapple with our toddlers' techno tantrums, perhaps we need to sit back, drop the guilt, set the rules, and take in the bigger picture.
That day, we think my heart stopped, so without the technology, I might not be here. So thanks to Aoife being able to use that technology, who knows what would have happened that day without it.
Oh, what a great story. What an incredible little girl. My kids, if they're watching, lift your game. They've got to put in more, seriously.
I can hear that. But do you know what? When it comes to getting our kids off the screen, I think we have to look to our role modelling as well, because if we're honest, a lot of us are actually addicted.
Fair point. More to come on the House of Wellness.
There's so much to love about the Northern Rivers region, and the Mullumbimby Farmers Market is one of them. It is where I feel completely connected. It's the vibe, the honesty, the homegrown back-to-basics approach, the smell of the soil. And it's where I can access locally grown produce. And when it comes to cooking delicious, healthy food, to me, that is everything.
Knowing where the food came from is somehow so satisfying. And just as important is getting to know the people who grow the produce, interacting with them and hearing their stories.
Your bread looks incredible.
Thank you. It's homegrown stories and homegrown clean food. My mission today is to buy one key ingredient that's not the most glamorous vegetable that I'm going to whack into a healthy pizza, the humble sweet potato. While spuds on a pizza may sound a bit bland, let me tell you, if you haven't tried a spud from around here, you've never tasted a potato.
What makes these sweet potatoes particularly special is the combination of the climate and this volcanic soil. The mineral density of the soil itself passes so many minerals to the vegetable, making this fantastic both flavour and for your health. Snowy,
Luke!
Stephen Snow, aka Snowy, is one of the area's most passionate chefs.
Now, I haven't come empty-handed. I've actually collected a bunch of ingredients from the local markets and farm.
Oh, you generous man. Well done. I love this stuff.
Snowy's all about taste and nutrition. He pumps out the freshest seafood and local produce from his restaurant in Kingscliff in northern New South Wales. And he loves a spud. His signature dish is a Portuguese specialty of seafood and poached potatoes.
While I get on to making the pizza base, I guess I want to talk about how similar our food philosophy is and the importance of shopping locally and also supporting organic farming. Can you tell me why you're so passionate in particular?
Mate, to cut to the chase, if I didn't do that, my food would not taste as good. Like, why would you eat something that has chemicals added to it when you don't need to? Fresh, local, organic and sustainable, bring it on.
You've got a pretty spectacular garden here behind us. Tell me what you're growing at the moment.
I walk out every single day, I make a salad from my garden. I supply Finn's, our restaurant, with chilies, lemon myrtle leaves, rosemary, limes, pawpaws, bananas. You know why? I came off a farm and I just tried to emulate it here. And you know what? It's not only organic, mate. My place, it's feral.
Feral. I love it. Feral garden.
When I think feral, I think brutal and tameless. But if anyone has managed to harness flavour from the ground and the sea, it's Snowy.
Crunch.
Pizza's ready, Snowy. There you go, take that carefully.
Cheers, mate. 26 out of 10.
All right, we all want one of those pizzas right now, Hines. Mate, well played. That's magnificent.
Thanks, guys. I don't have pizza, but I do have strawberries. I want you to dig in, take one of each.
Oh, okay.
There you go. And I want to put
All right.
conventional versus organic to the test here. There you go, Gerald.
Taste test.
Now have
Taste
a
it.
taste. And one of the things I want you to think about while you're tasting the two here is that not only the texture, the colour, but then think about the bigger impacts that it might be having on the environment, the farmers, the whole picture here when it comes to food. Truly paddock to plate.
Am I supposed to know which one is which?
Yeah, go. Come on, what do you reckon, Joe?
I really can't tell the difference.
They're both good. It's a good story. Great passion of yours. We'll talk about that more. That is our show. Go to the website, houseofwellness.com.au for more info on all things healthy. Don't forget, tune into House of Wellness Radio every Sunday. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to our friends at Chemist Warehouse.
It's time to light